Hey yo, welcome to Parker's Reefs. On today's episode, we're going to check out an absolutely gorgeous SPS dominated Cade. Alright, thank you for joining me on yet another episode of Parker's Reefs, and I am super excited to bring you today's video because, as mentioned in the intro, not only are we going to check out a beautifully cranking along Cade 1800 that is full to the brim of SPS, but what I love even more about it is that it's also a local reefer and it is a pure success story. We went and visited Kris about 2 years ago to check out his system that at that time had been running for about a year and a half, and it was doing okay, and Kris had definitely set it up for success by putting all of the best equipment on there, but was struggling with a few things around his parameters and also just getting good coral growth and color. Well, rest assured he is not having any of those problems anymore and has absolutely set the standard for a reef for us all to aspire to. So I guess I can't give you much more of a preface than that. I think we should roll the footage and go see Kris and his gorgeous Cade 1800. All right, Kris, we're back. It's been somewhere between a year and a half, 2 years since we were here last, and you have got this Cade absolutely cranking, well overdue for a video. So firstly, thank you for making it possible on a Sunday of all times. I know family time is difficult to interject in, so thank you so much for making the time possible. And thank you for welcoming us back into your house to showcase this beautiful tank with the world.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate you coming out again.
Always enjoy it.
I was just watching my old video when you say you were coming over here just to have a look what it used to look like and, what does it look like now. And when you look at something of your own every single day, you get used to it looking the same. But when you look how much back on the photos and videos,
it's always amazing. And I must admit, that is what I do tell people when people say, "Oh, my tank's only a year old" or something. No use having a video yet. And I'm like, absolutely worth having a video because you can look back on it and see where it's gone. Some of the things you may have changed, some of the corals that have grown or come or gone, and man, there's some changes in here. I can see obviously some, I'm going to say livestock changes from the coral growth in there, but I have no doubt there's probably also some infrastructure changes as well. I can see some like AI blades and stuff on there, but we'll jump all into that soon. Before we do, for those who haven't seen the first video, what sort of system are we looking at here?
It's a Cade 1800.
Cade 1800, yep, beautiful. And how long have you had this one running for now?
It's a COVID tank, so I think similar time to your frame, about three and a half years or thereabouts.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's looking killer. Now, all right, we'll go through some of the infrastructure, probably starting from the top. We've got a army of radians up there. What are we talking about there? We've got...
I do. So I've got 5 XR 15 blues.
Yep.
And I've got, I've been running them sort of from the start. I started with 4.
Yes.
And then as I made a switch to go towards... I guess more SPS oriented, which I never thought I could do personally because I just wasn't good at it. Then I added a 5th
That's
one.
obviously changed.
That's changed a little bit, but at the start, if people look at my first video, I struggled a lot.
Sure.
I mean, that was the reasons why you came out and you kind of try to help me point to things that I could look at fixing, and you ask community like what are the things that I should be looking at and changing, and that was really helpful actually.
Yeah, great.
Through a channel we got a global reach, and people would give me ideas, and then it really kind of helped me focus a bit more into what I wanted to do and, start to kind of believe in yourself a bit more.
Awesome, yeah.
Instead of just looking at stuff.
Parker's Reef success story, love it.
I think lights is one of those things. So I started with those 4, I added an extra one.
Yes.
And then when the blades came out, I don't know if I actually needed more light, but, I started seeing, lots of different tanks with how much light SPS likes and listening to different people. I thought, okay, well, it's not going to hurt to add a couple more. So I added these 6-foot blades. I've got a 1 grow and 1 glow.
Yeah, okay, nice.
I was trying to kind of balance it out. Maybe I should have gone 2 grows because they're blues, and I wanted to kind of...
You've got a lot of blue in it.
Looks blue, but...
No, it's actually quite a nice spectrum, actually. I like it. It's not Smurfland at all. Particularly with SPS, I find... obviously, with some of the LPS, the blue lights will really get them fluorescing, but I do find SPS really shines its most under a little bit more of a, by today's standards, a wider spectrum, and you've definitely got that here with the radians and the blades there. They're looking a treat. And moving on from the lights, or first I should ask, how long have you had the blades on there for now?
Blades have been on there probably a good 8 months now.
Okay,
I got
yeah.
them from Dave at Deer
Yep,
Park, and,
yep.
I had to kind of manufacture little brackets to drop them because
I was looking at that. Yeah,
I
yeah,
fitted
it's
these
great.
little magnetic covers,
Yes.
which I think is great because sometimes when I'm sitting down, I get a lot of glare from the tank.
For sure, yeah,
And that
yeah.
really helps with it. But then that kind of caused a problem to just mount them up onto the factory thing. So
Yeah, you didn't want to have your blades just heating up
so I
the
kind of went out
reflectors.
and fabricated my own kind of drops a little bit to get them down to that level, get a bit closer to the tank. And
No, it looks perfect. It works an absolute treat. I really
because
like
I didn't
it.
have a system off the roof, so that's how I ended up with mine.
Works great. Oh,
my
they're
way.
doing the job really well and giving that really nice spectrum there. Coming down into the equipment in the tank, I can see you've added some more flow, I think, from last time. A couple of Neros, maybe newer additions.
Yeah, Neros are new.
Yep.
I've also changed the direction. I really liked how you've set up your tank, actually.
Sure.
That was a bit of a stealing from your design.
That's all good.
I used to have them, if you look at it, used to be on the sides,
Yes.
kind of blowing sideways, and
Yes.
I just wanted an unobstructed view from the
Yeah,
side
yeah,
here. It just looks quite cleaner and nicer, so I moved them all at the back.
Yes.
Especially since I've automated my RODR, you've helped
Yep.
me with that as well,
Yep.
with some components. I moved it outside, so I didn't need the back
That's it,
compartment
yeah,
anymore.
because these Cades do have a built-in top-off chamber in the back there,
right.
but yeah, we've made it so you don't have to awkwardly reach over and fill
Correct,
that.
yeah.
Made that draw from a reservoir further away, and gives you this nice little section to put all those dry sides in.
Yeah, correct. So that's there. And then you're right, I put a couple of more Neros because, again, I keep hearing that they love flow and looking at videos and ocean.
Yeah.
Can't have enough flow, just put more in there.
And the only downside I see to putting the wave makers on the back wall is it plays absolute buggery with the sand. But that's not a
Yes.
problem in your system.
No, not in mine. I did actually start with sand
Yes.
as well,
Yep.
initially. And I had all sorts of issues.
Yes.
like most people do, I suppose. And then talking to people and things. And I love the look of sand.
Yes,
Very
okay.
partial to sand.
Yes.
I think it's natural. But now that I've got success and saw how much easier it's for me to maintain, because I got a really busy lifestyle like a lot of people.
Yes.
I don't have time to vacuum it, and it's kind of hard with this setup of lights. You
Yeah,
get in, I'm
yeah.
always knocking things off. And
Definitely.
I sort of thought, look, I'm going to have to make a compromise, and
Yep.
I went.
And at least with the Cades, they've got that white backing on the base. It doesn't detract, like it kind of looks like a pseudo sand. You've still got that nice bright white base, and you just don't have the drawbacks of sand, I guess. So
It requires a little bit of scraping still, but
yeah, I can imagine. I was looking at it going, there's no way it stays that clean. I've got some sections of the base of my tank where the sand's blown away, and it does not look like that.
yeah, every 2-3 weeks I got to, scrape it a little bit. And I got to admit, before you came, I did a bit of scraping. So.
Everyone always does their little spiff up, but no, it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Infrastructure-wise, in the sump or around the tank, any other changes since the last time?
Yeah, so I used to run a Clarity filter roll.
Yes, okay,
So the biggest change for me is probably that I've gone away from water changes.
Yep.
And I've done this probably right after last video, about 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
So this tank has been running the same water for 2.5 years.
Yeah, wow, incredible.
Which I never thought was possible, but you know,
Yes.
and I was always like, do I do it, do I not do it? Listening forums, reading Reef to all that sort of stuff. And,
Yes.
But ever since I've done it, I've done that, and because I did no water change, switched the whole Triton method,
Yes.
which I ran from the beginning actually, but I didn't do some Triton elements like a Clarity filter.
sure.
They don't recommend to run a filter roll.
Yes.
because I think it takes too much of the other good stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's gone now in my sump. I no
Yes.
longer have a filter roll. It
Okay.
basically goes straight down into refugium,
Yep.
which I made a bigger chamber now to
Yes.
using some glass components
Yep,
so that
yep.
try and get that magic 15 to 20%.
Sure thing, yeah. Maximize that refugium
Refugium,
size.
yeah. So it's basically that. I've got a really big skimmer.
Yep.
I've got I'm running probably a 10-year-old unit that I bought secondhand.
Yeah, nice.
But it's one of those 300, quite a big cup.
Sure.
And I've got that running. So it's basically just refugium, skimmer, return pumps.
Return pumps,
There's
yeah.
nothing. There's literally nothing else in there.
You've gone in full-blooded into the Triton method
Yes,
now,
I have.
taken off the other equipment, running the Triton style of filtration, the no water change, and obviously Triton ICP and supplementation dosage from there.
I've been doing that like religiously every 3 months.
Yeah,
The
yeah, very
ICP
nice.
tests, because you get all the results. It's really helpful. It comes out with not just where your numbers are, but there's a help tab and it tells you exactly what you need to fix. Is your strontium low, is your fluoride or whatever it might be. So it's quite helpful to get the elements back up to where it needs to be.
Yes.
And I think I've been doing it for 2.5 years now. I think this is the first time I'm gone on to the 5th month without actually doing a test.
Okay.
Because they say you're supposed to kind of, you can go, when it gets stable, you can go maybe to 6 months
Of
mark,
course,
but
yeah.
I'm trying that, but I'm very nervous.
No, well, I mean, we'll get to the livestock in the tank soon, but I'm certain looking at the quality of how everything's loving life in there, that your water parameters are trucking along well. Before we do get to that, I have noticed one other little addition here, I think from last time. I don't think we had the caddy last time.
No, we didn't. So, yeah, that's true.
It looks incredible there. You've got the glass door on the front, got the iPad in there with all the little widgets on there. You've got all of your Ecotech controls mounted in there, some of the Neptune stuff.
Yeah,
just
all
looks
my Apex
absolute
stuff.
treat.
Yeah, I mean, I hands off to Adam from Cade. I think that's an amazing addition. I actually wanted a 2100 when I first was buying, but that wasn't available at the time in the COVID. I think it came right after.
Yes.
So that would have filled my space quite nicely. But with these caddies, I think it's I want to put one on this side as well, just to kind of balance it out. I kind of plan to do one of those X systems that he's got coming. And maybe put that there, because I love anemones.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have a little anemone
I had him in
there.
here, and I didn't have any accidents with them. All my friends are like, when they start moving, your SPS is going to go. So and I didn't actually know that they would burn the SPS. So lesson learned. So I was like, before it happened, I took him out, and I'd love to put a little X system there.
Little X system there. So for those who don't know, Cade they've released these caddies, which is basically just an additional stand that you can buy separately, or cabinets, better choice of wording. And then they've got this X system, which is basically a caddy with a tank on top that allows you to plumb into your existing sump.
Yes.
And gives you an isolated, whilst not isolated, extra display. Perfect for what you're wanting to do there. We're having anemones, we're using all the same filtration, everything you've already got, but not having
them... And fill up the space nicely.
It will fill the space nicely, and it will also ensure that they can't walk over your SPS that you've got.
That's right.
Trucking along really well. And it's... Oh, sorry, you were going to say something there?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the real reason I got that is because it just gave me a lot more space, Sam. Like, with the amount of equipment I've got, a number of bricks and all that, we all hate looking behind. But I've done the best to kind of put them against heat sink, to let kind of the Cade aluminum stand act like a heat sink.
Yep, perfect.
So I've kind of got them to distribute that heat a little bit.
Yes.
But I still found that this space in summer, because of enclosures and stuff, can get a bit warm. So spreading across two... Just gave me lots more room to
disperse it a bit,
to disperse everything, to run equipment, to not have everything on top of each other, so everything can kind of breathe.
Definitely.
So I think having that extra space is great. Plus, it's good to have another, countertop to put stuff on. And
you've got a bench there to work with when you're acclimating new stuff.
Acclimating things, drip acclimating and things like that.
Perfect.
I did have to. I mean, I've kind of these Cades are great because usually they come like these cabinets, I guess, where they're all black, but just a small blade, and on the inside, and you can take all that.
So that's just a tint.
This is just a tint.
Wow, I was going to ask you about the clear doors. I was going to say, how did you remove the glass? But no, you just scrape it.
I just use a little blade that you do maybe to get algae off, and you just scrape it from the inside. It gives you like that clear. Some people do the whole thing, but I don't think that's as pretty for me. After my Clarity filter, it's become a bit. That's one thing I didn't like about it. More stuff ends up in the sump as it dries, so you have to vacuum it out.
Yes.
I don't think my wife would appreciate looking at that.
No, fair enough.
So I left that covered up. But I think this is okay because, it looks the same. The only thing I had to remove were the little nobbins from the Ecotech.
They just didn't quite fit. Yep.
They were kind of thick. The rest of the stuff is kind of okay. And I couldn't put my Apex controller. I had to be on the inside.
No, fair enough.
It was a bit thick.
It looks incredible, and that's a tip that I think a heap of Cade owners are going to leverage from that video that you gave us just then on being able to scrape that black off, because I think particularly with the caddies, the way they have that controller mount there.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it very easy, and it makes it kind of nice. I mean, I know we're all about the tank, but sometimes, when you're bored or you want to do something new, you start getting ideas and go, how does that work? And I was lucky because when you buy the caddy, you get doors on all four sides.
Yes, you do.
It's very customizable, so I could take the middle one off, the back one off, and all of that. So it's like if I made a mistake, I could just...
You've got some spares, if you've got a clear door on the back, it's not the end of the world,
That's right.
Well, it turned out incredible, and I don't know about you, but I think that's the way the caddy was always intended. So I think Adam might give you a tip of the cap for that one. I think you've done well. But I mean, I can't dance around the topic any longer. We've got to talk about what's going on inside the glass box because,
Sure.
man, there's some developments here since last time we were here. The SPS in particular, but every single coral in this system has come along in absolute leaps and bounds, and I can't find a single piece in there that does not look like it is absolutely loving life. Can you tell us a bit about your journey with the coral to date?
Yeah, sure. The biggest change, like I said, is me going to a full Triton method. I sort of started with the core 7 elements, which is just the calcium, magnesium sort of mix.
Yep.
But I didn't really follow the full method. So I didn't do all the trace elements, all the supplements. And ever since I've sort of made that commitment, you can say, like, to dive in, and it was I needed something to change. And what I noticed is when I did my water changes, I would destabilize the system quite a bit. Like I had a big gap swing in alk or something else because of the water, how it was.
Yes.
So I sort of thought, okay, if I can maybe have a bit more balance, everyone talks about consistency, you know, and you always talk about consistency. It's not the numbers chasing. And I thought, how do I keep this consistent? That's a method I chose. You know, some people choose to do, you know, water changes. I chose that one just because I did the water and I automated it. I had, remember, I have an IBC and water, and it was changing it the right amount a day, ended up being 20% a week, but it just wasn't working for me for whatever reason. So I decided to do that swap, and I went all in. I started to do ICP testing, and I really noticed how off some of my things were. Like my trace elements were really depleted. I had to do a big kind of correction initially when I did my first test. And after that correction, I could do very small adjustments. Every 3 months, it was very tiny. I was getting that consistency, and I guess in other elements that, you know, home testing doesn't, you know, can't tell you.
Of course.
I mean, my nitrate and phosphates were always quite good.
That was going to be my next question. Moving away from water changes, to no water changes in this tank, and I mean, you've got a decent bioload. We'll talk about some of the fish in there soon, but
they've grown.
There's a decent amount of fish in there. Your nitrates and phosphates.
My phosphates sit at about 0.05 to 0.1 at worst. When that happens, I change the media.
Yes.
I do run a reactor with AL55, whatever the Triton.
AL99.
99, that's the one. You're right. The white little balls.
Yes,
I run that one to kind of keep it in a check, and he always swings between 0.05 to 0.1.
Yes.
Nitrates it's an ultra low nutrient system. I'm struggling with nitrates, to be honest.
Wow.
I have to. And that's one thing that I'm probably not as consistent as I'd like, because the refugium does such a good job that I actually, highest I've had was about 5.
Wow, okay.
But often it's around 1.1 to 1.5. So it's very, very low.
Very low for.
So I'm constantly like harvesting a lot of, like that fuge gets full in 3 weeks' time. Like when I say I mean really dense and full to the end. So I tend to feed a lot, which is why the fish are quite chunky. And I got a friend that comes over and goes, "Your fish are so fat." I go, "Yeah, like the owner." I do try to feed a lot. I don't, you know, I give them lots of. These fish go through 2 sheets of nori a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
And about 5 mysis cubes. And my nitrates are still. And I've got an auto feeder that drops on pallets, and I still can't keep up. So I kind of want to add more fish, but I've got a very peaceful environment. They all get along. There's no fighting. And I've got no issues with parasites or anything like that. So I'm a little bit worried to
risk versus reward. And you don't need more fish in there. You've got some big players in there. You've got some gorgeous tangs. You've got a nice pair of angels in there, a nice school of chromis, even a stripey in there should you have any aptasias. And they're looking great. So I get the desire. Whenever you go to a local fish shop, you see new fish, you're like, oh, he'd be great in there. But it does get to the point where the risk versus reward becomes
There's some fish
question.
that are just pretty, you know, like I love the Sohal tangs, but I already got the 2 that would kill each other probably. And you know, I love some angels. I mean, I've been toying with I love the angels. You know, I'd love to have a tank that can keep the angels, don't chew all your stuff, you know, like a queen or an emperor or something, you know. So I always think about, should I do another tank just for the angels? But it's a temptation. You're right.
It makes it tough. But coming back into the corals, can you take us through some of the incredible pieces you've got in here? I mean, I can't get you to go through every single one, but have you got a few favorites in here that you really enjoy watching grow out?
Yeah, look, I love the stags. I love the blue stag here, for example.
The blue on this stag is so bright, and you've positioned it so well amongst those other pieces there. The chalice at the base, I'm surprised is not stinging it. They're just
kind of growing around each other.
Growing around each other, but it gives such beautiful contrast. And then you've managed to get a nice green aspera, I think it is, in there, just to give it the real contrast. Just
They were really small, Sam. Like I initially when I was filling this tank, I was like, I'll never get this bloody looking good. Like there was so much room. Like everything was like tiny little sticks, you know. And then it just took off at one point. I think when it got that stability and what it liked. So now I'm kind of like, oh, I wish I left a bit more space between things, but. Because
I love the grown-in look. I love seeing them grow into each other and on top of each other. I know sometimes...
It looks natural, I think,
Yeah, sometimes that does come at losses, but when it doesn't and you get that wall, like this section here where you've got the blue stag meeting the chalice, coming over to meeting the aspera, the digi, and then even down here onto this this pink piece down here, they're all just literally touching each other, and it looks so, so nice. And when you do get it to work, it's hard to beat. When you can't actually see the rock at all, it's amazing.
Yeah, I love when it gets covered. I love this piece here as well. I'm not very good with names. I got to apologize to your viewers. I don't know what they all are. I kind of just go by what I like the look of.
I couldn't tell you exactly what species this guy is either, but I love the big wide open branches on it, and the polyp extension is insane on it.
I really enjoy it.
Such a hairy piece, and the colour too. Whilst it's not a fluoro colour, but just the contrast that
it is contrasted. Yeah,
that light blue / grey that it gives really makes the other vibrant colours really contrast, and it's one of my favourite pieces in the tank.
I love the Walt Disney as well. I got that from, I think, Aquamarine, Aquaristic. He was just a very tiny 2-centimetre frag, I'd say.
Yes.
And that's become nice and fluffy and hairy. And it's just been, it started as a frag for like 9 months and it didn't move. It didn't get worse. It didn't get better. It was just like, I was like, what can I do?
Yes.
But then I just left it alone. And then all of a sudden, boom, it started to kind of grow as well.
And it's really got the trademark colours there too. The yellow on the polyps there are very, very vibrant. You've got the nice solid purple on the tips, and polyp extension for days. It's looking a treat.
And the strawberry shortcake I really love. I'm partial to the strawberry shortcake.
It's hard to go past the strawberry shortcake, isn't it?
Yeah, it just has nice colours. And they all look different. There's another one over there that you got for me, I think, from Dave one day, which is... this one over here, but it's very different in colour.
There's
fish are photobombing.
It's something the fish want to get in the shot, but the strawberry shortcake is something that they just never seem to have two the same. There's the difference in the pink and the greens. Some of them go a bit more yellow. Some of them go completely pink. Some of them go completely green. The growth structure, the corallite structure on them, they all vary. And
it's interesting when you say that. When I go to a shop, I'm like, oh, I like this one. I want this one. What's this? It's always a strawberry shortcake. Or a version of it.
It's hard to beat colours, pink and green. Like on the one piece, it contrasts so well.
And finding spots, I'm running a bit out of space now. But what I was pleased with is this blue digi here.
Yes.
I got from a good friend of mine as well. That's growing like crazy.
It grows fast, doesn't it?
It grows really fast, but it's kind of made a couple of its own sticks here. I don't know how that happened.
I can see some,
But I didn't put those there, Sam.
It's just spawned off on its own.
From there to there somehow, and they started to grow. So I was kind of like, oh, well, that's good. If it can spawn and do its thing, then maybe there's some success there.
It absolutely will. And that bombing up here, I love this piece up here. I know you were mentioning before that it shaded that piece under it, but...
I'm a bit upset about that, but I wish I could have turned it around. There's heaps of room on the other thing. But that came from a plug as well. I'm not sure if you see the video. It was a tiny little thing as well. And
the colour on that's gorgeous.
Started coming this way. It was like, it does look nice.
It's got a real peach colour to it, and or even an orangey colour, but... quite unique in the SPS world, and cool to see such a nice sized colony of it really loving life.
Yeah, it's really growing well. I think I can't remember where I got that one from, but it's been really good. And
it's not all SPS. I just noticed this really nice small polyp bubble coral in there.
Yeah, he used to be small too. Even this piece here in my old video, I was looking at it. It was a tiny little 3-4 centimeter thing. It just blew up, and it's taking a lot of room. And
green pokey, grows before your eyes, and that is one that will spawn and show up in other parts of the tank.
I think there is a tiny piece right behind there, where it's kind of gone across, and I was warned about that. But at the time, I was like, let everything spawn because nothing was growing. So I was like, that's fine, let them grow.
Let it grow. Yeah, you can always cut it out if need be. And
I like the red dragon here too. I think it's called a red dragon.
It sure is,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Red Dragon is a beautiful coral. It's just got that, again, unique. You've got so many unique colors in this tank, and I think that's what makes the entire ecosystem really pop. The structure to it, the color of it, beautiful, and it contrasted it with a nice piece behind it there. Really nice pale yellow color there. Coming over to a nice, I'm not sure what the red is in the background there. Is it a PC rainbow, perhaps?
I got that. Look, I don't know. I'm probably going to not do it justice.
It's all good.
I got that from Rare Reefs.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
And yeah, I got a few pieces from Rare Reefs, which I really like, and I've put them around, and they've been growing really nice. But I can't remember.
It's looking PC rainbowish to me, just from the red and then the green around the growth. But what its street name is irrelevant. What is important is the color and the way it's looking in this tank. And what I do really love is some of the, whilst it's definitely an SPS dominant system now, you do have things like, you've got a nice little zoa garden down here.
Yes.
You've got green star polyps giving such beautiful movement, such extension on them. That's the longest green star polyps I think I've ever seen. They are super, super hairy. Green star polyps often considered as like a turf. That turf needs a lawnmower. It's long, and you got really nice positioning in your corals to give this really nice contrast. And even things like this piece down here, I think this is actually a species of Monty. I could be wrong on that, but the green, a lot of people will turn their nose up on a solid green coral, but when you see it in a tank like this, it
looks nice.
The way it breaks up and stands out, green is a beautiful color, and when you've got something giving a beautiful colony structure like that, it looks so, so good. And then you've even got colonies sitting down here on the base.
I got that one. I think you got me that one from Dave's. I think you did one of your walkthrough videos,
Yes.
and I liked it. I said, "Oh, you know what? I've got some base stuff because I've got so much flow now. You move anything that I put down there,
Yes.
but that looked like had a bit of a stone, and I was right. It doesn't move much, you know.
No,
I'm seeing
plonked
some
him down there, and
growth there. The new pinkier pieces. That's
Absolutely.
kind of a new stuff that's growing out. So
it looks so, so good.
it's doing okay. There is some wild pieces here. Like I think that's a wild piece there.
Yes.
The green one as well.
Yes.
A couple at the back that you got as well.
I love wild SPS because realistically the named pieces, everything started as a wild piece.
That's right.
And that you can pick them up, particularly here in Australia, for pennies on the dollar, really, compared to the aquaculture pieces. And you just don't know what you're going to get. And,
and the color looks different. Like when I see in the shop versus here. And
yes.
When they get, like initially they kind of,
they dull out a little bit initially.
Yeah. But then they come back.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
They come back, and I can see it because I run the Apex. I track my consumption of all the alk and all that sort of stuff. I can see just a massive swing or drop, I should say, when that happens. When I put new coral in,
sucks them up.
Just overnight, because we all check stuff daily. I'm like, oh, what happened here? I didn't change anything, and it's just like, okay, dial that up. That's one of the reasons I got the cabinet, actually, is because I used to run those Voss bottles in my old system, I think.
It's not
and they're like 800 mil. They used to last me, like when I started, for like a month or something. It was ridiculous. But now, honestly, I go through 150 mil of alk, Triton alk, which is supposed to be like 7 times more concentrated than the standard stuff. So now I've got like a 4-litre container
just to make that maintenance load a little bit lighter.
So that's one of the reasons why I got a Cade, so I can hide those containers in the back.
Dose. Makes sense. Now, we've talked about the coral success you've had in the system. Oh, actually, we should, before we even talk about that, let's talk about this end, because you've got gonies, firework, clove polyps. You've got this really nice bomby of movement there. It looks incredible. I really like it.
Yeah, they were all quite small pieces. I love this view on this side, Sam.
Let's jump in and have a look.
I actually wanted a peninsula tank.
Yes.
I love peninsulas. I love the see-through.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why I moved the wave makers up the side, because when I walk down those stairs and stuff, I'm always looking at it. It's like I got a mini peninsula.
Absolutely.
But these were really small pieces as well. I didn't. If I knew they were going to be this big, I probably wouldn't have put them up here because they were stinging and killed my one strawberry shortcake here. And they just kind of, grew really, really fast.
First world problems, hey?
First world problems, correct. But
My
I could have put them somewhere lower, and I could have put them somewhere there, but I'm happy with them. They're kind of expanding and growing. And this little piece down here, this goni, that's the one I got from Dave. That was the orb. You were there on the day, it was fully retracted. I was talking about it, and I was sort of saying, that looks nice and pretty and pink. But
And I said,
he
I don't know.
Maybe a snail went over it, you said, or something over it.
Yes.
And I was like, and I got it into my tank. That probably is the longest piece that took to actually open up in my tank ever.
Yeah, right.
Like I don't know what happened to that coral, but it's a perfect orb.
Perfectly round.
And I had it in like 6 positions in the tank, and it would not open up till
Yeah,
I put it away from the light. I think it was too much light.
Yes.
And I hid it under all this other stuff. That it started to open up, and now it's really happy.
It looks beautiful. It's got a
people
real
told me it was going to be a Gorner and on a reef to reef and all that. I just kept moving it, and eventually
settled
came back,
in.
which is good.
As you say, the explosion of color from this end of the tank, when you look down the full length, is beautiful, and you can even see some of the pieces that you've mounted on the backside there to grow and fill in that
I'm
space.
trying to grow in the back too. Like you can't see it as much, but I figure when they start growing, it'll be good. But it's hard with the lights. You know, I don't have that setup where you can lift them up.
Yes.
To actually get your hands
to get
back
in there and work
and
back there, quite a
it's
challenge.
getting quite hard to scrape the wall, and I love the clean back wall look myself personally.
Yes,
and
you and I are like there.
Yeah, so I'm always with my little, sea torch trying to get in there, but I've broken a couple of tips a couple of times.
That's fragging for you.
I was like, that's probably 2 months of growth right there.
It happens, but they are looking fantastic, and it looks like you couldn't do a thing wrong with coral there. But have you had any challenges with coral in the system at all? Have you got any Achilles heels?
I have. I can't keep torches for the life of me.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. They're just very temperamental. I've got a couple of thoughts on that.
Yes.
I think I've got a fish that's destroying them.
Sure.
Which is my Great Barrier Reef clown.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's relentless. He shoves himself in there in every torch.
Oh, right.
He's bothering him nonstop. He thinks it's because I used to have an anemones for him, which I said earlier, then I have to take him out. I think he's been quite upset after that. He's even trying to get into green star polyp and shove himself in there.
Yeah, well, he probably thinks that's a torch. The polyps are that long on it.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's a fish or if it's just something in my parameters. It is quite an ultra low nutrient system with the Triton. Maybe they don't like it. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Torches are such a fickle coral in our closed ecosystems, and I think there's been talk around some bacterial strains and things out there that seem to affect torches and not anything else, and even then only affect some torches. I definitely don't know the answers there, but I do think it's a space that over the next 5 years of reefing, we're going to have a few aha moments and work a few things out. And I think torches are probably something that's going to benefit the most out of that.
I'd love to keep them. I do miss that about my tank. Is that movement, which is why I kind of left those there and that green. Yeah. I would love to have more things swaying and all that, which is why I love anemones maybe. So that's a bit, but I really enjoy watching SPS grow. I did lose some SPS. I had a piece here under that peachy coral that just overshadowed it completely.
I mean, you can see the nub of it in the dark.
It's just died basically in there.
It's completely in the dark, so I mean, that was probably going to happen.
And I did have some RTN, rapid tissue, the RTN version. There's STN and RTN. This is an example over here next to my thing. I don't know why. That's quite recent actually. Quite in between there. I don't know if it was too close to other stuff, but
could have been
every now and then I do have one that just dies.
It's SPS
and it
life,
starts from the tip down.
Oh, from the tip down. That's interesting.
Or sometimes it's from bottom up. I've had 2 losses, that one and one more. And I tried that. Triton's got their
STNX.
STNX stuff, They're one of my good friends around the corner that you saw video Daniel had, and he kind of lent it to me, and I tried the whole put around a coral and do this, but it didn't seem to do much for me.
To be honest, I think you'd be breaking YouTube viewers' hearts when you said, I have lost 2 pieces. When you've got a tank full of SPS growing like this, I think anything less than 24 pieces would be
I get quite attached,
a win.
I feel like they're like our babies, like I don't know, I'm very sentimental like that. Like I really care about every piece. So when something happens, I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What did I put it to? Can I move it? Can I
we definitely...
That's all I mean.
we wear the burden, absolutely. I mean, we feel like we are responsible. We've taken these pieces and we've put them into an environment that we're controlling. But a good friend of mine says that when you're dealing with live things, sometimes you're dealing with dead things as well.
It's a good way of looking at it.
It is an unfortunate side. We obviously do what we can to minimize it. And I would say, based on 2 pieces out of probably the 140 you've got in here, it's not a bad result. So I'd be pretty happy with that. I do want to talk about some of the fish because we've only sort of just briefly touched on them. You've got a pretty cool, diverse mix in here, from tangs to angels to that big clown and some schooling fish. Can you take us through some of the fish that you've got in there?
Yeah, I love my Nasso here, the blonde Nasso. He's getting the long tensils on him now. So he's one of my favorite. My wife calls him Boy George.
He's got the lipstick.
We call him Boy George. The sergeant is his mate, and like all good friends.
Gorgeous fish. You don't see a lot of them in home aquariums. I know they are quite aggressive, but man, what a beautiful fish.
Mine is a honestly really good citizen. Never had an issue with it. He always comes to the top and he's like trying to gulp air or something. I'm surprised I haven't seen him yet. Breaching all the time. He's the only one that does it. Like he sticks half of his head. I can literally pat him. Like he comes up to me, you pat. He's like a dog.
I think some species just enjoy doing that. I don't think it's any. I mean, look at him. He does not look like anything other than a picture of perfect health. So
it's nice and fat.
I wouldn't be concerned that there's anything wrong with him. I think some fish just do it for the kicks.
The Bellis Angels, I think the Bellis, I've got a male and a female that I got from Deer Park Aquarium as well.
Pair of those, nice to see a pair.
I got them together and those, I love angels, like I said, so those are the ones that were reef safe.
Yes.
They chase each other all the time. The male chases a female like you wouldn't believe.
So maybe not completely paired up, but well, maybe they are. Maybe he's chasing for other reasons.
That's true. And I love my powder blue. He's one of my favorite fish.
Stunning fish,
One of the reasons why I started the tank. And I was always worried with the coat and the itch and all that magnetic stuff that people tell you they can, so I was always worried about that. But he's been doing well.
That's great.
My my blue tang is a bit of a psychotic fish, I think.
Why do so many people say that about blue tangs?
Yeah, he's just, it's like a movie, there's a couple of starfish in here.
Yes.
You can notice he's missing.
He's been nibbled on.
And he's been nibbled by the blue tank. He picks them up, carries them around the tank, eats them. I don't know what's with him. He's
his toy.
He's well fed, but he plays with the starfish.
Just likes the taste of starfish.
He loves scratching himself. He goes into the rocks. He thinks he's still small, I think. Or she thinks it's small. And she tries to get into rocks and scratches herself. There's a lot of that. The yellow I've had for a long time. I've had that for 3 years now. Most of the fish actually, I'd say, there for the length of the tank over 3 years. I think the only ones that are is the chromis. The chromis don't always last as long for some reason. I mean, they hide amongst SPS and they last a bit longer now, but maybe they pick each other off or something.
I think they do,
And then they just disappear overnight. I never see them, just gone.
They can pick at each other every now and then.
I love the Flame Angel.
Yes. Is that a relatively new addition?
Yeah, so Flame is pretty new. I had one that I got given that I bought, and that one didn't do well. It died within 2 days into my tank. I think there was something wrong with them.
Yes.
But this one's loving life because I've got a coral beauty in there, and they were chasing each other the first 2 days.
Yes, always
and
a
I was
risk
really worried about
multiple dwarfs. Yes.
But now they're good friends, no problem. They're
great.
I've got good harmony amongst the fish, so I'm happy about that. But I always want new fish. I love fish. I think it gives you that movement. Maybe because I've got SPS.
Yeah, the fish. And I always think, particularly when you've got SPS tanks that are growing out like this, and you've particularly with things like your stags, having fish swim between that coral growth just really replicates that nature look that we're all going for. And and you're probably right. Probably the substituting the movement from some of the LPS with the fish in the SPS works really well. But you've got a beautiful mix in there, and that coral beauty. You've also got a monster Australian stripey in there.
Yeah, they grow really fast, So,
they do grow fast, don't they?
But he does keep, the moment I take him out, that's my second stripey.
Yes.
The Aptasia comes back. I've got Aptasia in a tank.
So they keep working, don't they?
They do keep working. And he hasn't been disturbing anyone else, and he's happy. And
I find them to be such a community fish. No one bothers them. They don't bother anyone.
Good citizen.
As long as they're not. I mean, if you had a tank full of acans and Trachophilias, I'd say it'd be pretty risky long term. But
yeah,
I don't think you're going to see him touch an SPS. And at most, he might be curious and have a little nuzzle on a little bit of a goni, but he'll get over it pretty quick, I think. So
yeah, I think so. No, I've never seen him pick at stuff. Honestly, I think the blue tank is. I've seen a blue tank pick at a couple of things more than. Honestly, I don't know. I think I've just got a crazy.
And if you had to bet on which fish was going to touch a coral, you would pick the stripey over the blue tank every time. But no, the blue tank's the culprit, as they tend to be.
But yeah, so that's a bit about my fish. See, they have a bit of a play with each other every now and then.
Yeah.
I think when I stand in this corner of the tank, that's where my feeding port is.
Sure, yeah.
So they're like, it's coming, and that's why they all come in and
have a little bit of an arm wrestle for who's going to be in pole position.
That's right.
No, that's understandable.
Yeah, and no, it's been good, Sam. It's been a learning journey. I think like all reefers, I've had times where I felt I wanted to throw in the towel.
Of course, we've all been there.
I still have it sometimes, and I'm like, what am I? How's it going? Something. When a coral dies on me, I start to go, oh my god, like something's wrong. They're all going to die now. I start thinking about all this stuff. Thankfully, it just happened. It's an isolated case to a piece of coral.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, I'll just replace that. It's a good chance to go shopping, get something new.
Always good.
I'm trying to get that attitude now. But yeah, it's nice to actually see something thrive that you've created in a box at home that you just thought it was for select few.
You put the work, the time, the money into it. To see the rewards is it's very rewarding. Now, since you have changed methodology and you've moved completely into the Triton way of life, I guess we should say, or a way of reef keeping, can you take us through what your sort of maintenance on a system like this is now? How much time and what sort of things are you doing on it?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about it. I think it saves me a lot of time. I work in IT, I travel a bit with my work, and honestly, if I had to do manual things, I don't think I could be in a hobby as much as I love it. Every time I go away, something used to go wrong. And my wife would be the one calling friends and panicking and doing things. So I think the fact that you don't unbalance the tank with water changes. The Apex is an absolute mess, like a controller. We can talk about that too. But having the ability to log in and just check everything daily, wherever I am, that really helps. So I can notice any sort of swings or movements. It's a pretty much self-running tank. I've got...
Amazing.
2 maize 100-litre units out the back that you helped me set up that replenish RO. I was going through RO really quickly. This tank goes through about 9 litres of RO a day. Yes. Which is quite a lot for me, right?
It's a fair bit, yeah.
And I wouldn't... That little thing at the back would never keep enough water.
You'd be topping it up very often, yeah. I think I'm not sure how much that holds, maybe 20 litres or something like that. So you're going to get...
I think it's I don't know. I'm not going to quote it because
maybe more than 20, but at 9 litres a day, you're probably not going to get a week out of it. So
correct. Never got a week out of it. It's like 3-4 days, and it was always moving hoses and things. So I think RO top off, not doing water changes, and then having all the elements that are kind of balanced on a weekly basis. It just makes it a maintenance free. So I don't do a lot, honestly.
Incredible.
I think my Triton core, I've got 4-litre containers in there.
Yes.
They'll last me probably about 6-8 weeks before I have to top them up.
Sure.
So that's all good. The RO is topped up automatically. The water test, the only manual water testing I do is nitrate and phosphate.
Sure.
I haven't bought the NP.
I was going to say, as a big Apex fan and adopter, surely that's going to be on the shopping list.
It is. I thought about it, but honestly, it's been pretty stable. Like I don't think there's a lot of benefit in doing it daily.
Sure.
And you'll just go through reagents so quick. I mean, it's a nice to have. It's not a must have.
No.
Honestly, once you get stability, it seems to just run itself. One other thing that I wasn't really aware of in Triton method that I probably should have, reading a bit more, is that my salinity tends to creep up using Triton method for whatever reason with no water changes. I think it's something to do with the elements or trace elements. Our Triton friends can probably tell us exactly why it happens. It is documented.
Isan, if you're watching, let us know.
So you've got to take yeah, exactly. Isan will probably have a topic on it. You can actually probably do one of his mini series for us.
That's right.
But I don't know how often, like every 6 months, I have to take probably 20 litres of salt down and just put RO in.
Yeah, wow.
To actually correct that. I actually did it. I can show you on my thing how it dropped the salinity down. It was 36 point something.
Yes.
And it dropped down to 35 again.
Yeah,
so that's one thing you got to do every 6 months or so, I think. I had I had to change the lines in the dose units.
Yes.
You know, the little line that the motor turns around in there. Some people change the whole head, but it was just a line that cracked, for example. I had to do that maintenance. I change the tubes every now and then.
Sure.
I recalibrate my dose pumps to make sure they're accurate.
Yes.
But honestly, they're kind of like...
I was going to say, you're picking at straws now.
6 monthly things, yeah.
There's obviously not that much you need to do. I mean, you're obviously sending off somewhere between 3 and 6 months in ICP, adjusting your corrections and your dosage based on the results you get back from there.
Correct. I do have, and this is my only connection to the tank, I do dose my Triton elements.
Yes.
That's the only thing that I kind of do on a manual basis.
Sure.
I've got little syringes and little caps for
Look at that.
magnesium and iodine, and I've got a little sheet that I keep.
Yes.
This is my kind of schedule for this particular tank. It's got daily elements in it. So the yellows is basically how much I dose per day each morning. And then I've got a weekly for the ones that are, vanadium, cobalt, chromium, iron, that's a bit lower. And I just put a little X that I've done. It's
so organized. Yeah, you got the calendar on there with all the dosages.
Just because I'll forget stuff.
No, it's good to know. And
I have to kind of do that, otherwise I do forget things. So that's my daily thing. And if I go away, I get my wife to do it.
Yes.
I used to do it weekly, and I've noticed since I've done it daily, it helps, I think.
Sure.
I've got no evidence to suggest otherwise.
I like to have a task that, doesn't take an hour, something you can spend a couple minutes on the tank and just have that connection with the tank. And if
I agree, yeah.
is adding benefit to it by smoothing out the delivery of those trace elements, even better. But it is nice to do something that you do enjoy doing on the tank.
And it gives me a chance to kind of look over things really quickly, and
Agreed.
I go, oh, that's new, or I've noticed that, or I need to fix something, or But apart from that, honestly, it's a Triton method, I think, is, if you're a busy life, if you are doing a lot of things where you maybe can't do the water changes or run to get water or mix your water, all of that sort of stuff,
yes,
it might be for you,
definitely worth considering.
Something worth considering. I would say it's probably not the cheapest method out there.
Sure, yeah.
But it's only because I've got a pretty big tank.
You've got a big tank. If you were on any system here, whether it be Red Sea, Coral Essentials, Moonshine, any other program out there, when you've got a system this size with this many corals growing this quickly, you're going to go through some supplements.
It's a big consumption, yeah. It's quite a large consumption.
Definitely. And think of all the money you're not spending on salt or on water delivery.
Well, that's true. That's another way to think about it, yeah. I don't think I would go away from it. It does work. It's proven. Like, you read about it and you go, okay, well, maybe they do something else. But on it does work. You just have to follow the system and the process, and you've got to choose the system you're going to follow. I used to mix systems. When I started, I was like dosing vinegar, and I was dosing everything I was reading. I was like, okay, that's how I control my nitrate. That's how I do my phosphates. The only thing that I do different from a full Triton is running some of that AL99 for GFO control.
Yeah.
In the first video, you actually recommended that for me. My phosphate was quite high.
Yes.
And I sort of thought the refugium will take care of that too, but I think it does really well for nitrates, not so much for phosphate, maybe.
Correct. Yeah.
So I just have that running through at a very small amount, and I just regulate the rate using Cade kind of valve, and that keeps it going. And the other thing I do is just change the timing on the Kessel for the refugium light.
Okay, yeah, just turn it up and down.
I just turn it down a couple of hours if it consumes too much, or if it's close to bottoming out, or things like that.
Just tell it to throttle off a little bit. Perfect.
Yeah, but apart from that, it's been quite good. I'm really pleased. I think my growth has something to do with my pH.
Okay.
Since I switched to Triton as well, my pH has been quite good.
Nice.
So in the morning when I get up, which is the lowest it is, it's about 8.3.
Wow.
8.35. And at night it's about 8.7.
Super high, yeah.
And it stays between 8.7. And I don't do any kalkwasser or anything like that. I do have a line going outside, and I do have an oversized skimmer.
Yes.
The skimmer is huge. It takes like a whole sump.
That works well.
Yeah, and it just, I think that's it. And I think that's where a lot of the growth comes out of. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I cannot thank you enough. I really love seeing success stories like this, because I know you've put the hard yards in this tank, and you've set it up correctly. You've got all the right gear, but you know as well as anyone that just throwing money at a reef tank doesn't make it work.
No.
And you've put the time and effort in, and the results are absolutely speaking for themselves now. Because I'll ask you, but surely you've got to be super proud of this tank now.
I'm very happy now. I felt like one of those guys with all the gear and no idea. did the research, did the right things, getting all the elements. I just wasn't having success initially. It was a really hard 24 months for me, I think. If any of your viewers are discouraged or they're feeling some of that, I'd say if you can, it's funny because it's like with everything in life, if you can be disciplined, if you can be consistent, if you can be in it for the long haul and you follow the good recipe, I
You'll
think
get results.
you will get results.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to stick through the hard times.
Exactly. That is the challenge with reefing is that, we're all most excited in that first 1 to 2 years. And that's normally when we get the most curveballs. And
and it's easy to throw in the towel. It's hard to keep going. It's easy to just sell everything and go, put it up on the marketplace. But to keep going and see it succeed, it's a bit of a personal success story, Like it's
couldn't agree more.
You feel like you've done something, You feel like you're doing the right thing, and because if there's nothing more discouraging, because a lot of us have our tanks in our living rooms and we want to look at it, so it's usually in the middle of your house.
Yes.
And there's nothing discouraging when it's in your face and it's not going well. For me, it's in my living room.
Yes.
And you want to watch TV or something.
Trying to relax and wind down.
You're constantly looking over going, oh no, it's bad. And everyone looks at it and goes, is it meant to look like that? I go, no, it's not.
No. Well, at least you've got the opposite problem now. You're sitting down trying to watch TV and you're looking across at the tank because it looks so good. So I don't think you could get a better measure of success than that. And I think you've done an incredible job. And I want to give just, one final thank you for letting us come back and film it, because I'm so pleased to share this tank with the world now. And I think everyone's going to jump on board. Put a comment down below. Tell Kris how incredible his tank's looking, because it's a true success story and an inspiration to all of us out there. So thank you.
No, and thank you, Sam. I mean, I've got a lot of inspiration from you and your tank and your videos, and I think following your channel, definitely learned a lot. And from all the people that I put comments in the last video saying, think about this, think about that. There was definitely a lot of things that I could shortlist and apply from there.
The community has helped.
Community does help. Sometimes it's, we get discouraged, and having people that go through the same thing, like in anything in life, it helps having people that share their stories, and then you think, okay, do I still want to do this? Am I in it to continue doing it?
Oh, well, please continue doing what you're doing. And once again, thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, guys, there you have it. That is Kris's incredible Cade 1800 SPS dominated system. And I think you can all agree that he has turned that system around 180 degrees, because it is cranking along beautifully now. The color, the growth, the health in those SPS, and even the LPS and soft corals that he has in that system, not to mention the beautiful array of fish, is all a testament of Kris sticking it out in this hobby. We all go through ups and downs, and to see someone come out the other side with a system that we can all aspire to is a true success story. And I want to give a big shout out to Kris, because he really put the work in this system to make it where it is today. Now, if you do have any questions, comments, or feedback for Kris, feel free to pop it down in the comment section, whether it's about what he changed on the tank, what he thinks was worthwhile doing, not worthwhile doing, any questions around the Cade caddy and taking that coating off the doors, anything about his detailed apex setup, which I must admit I did get extra footage of, which I can put on screen now. We didn't go into in this video just because we were nearing that 1 hour mark, and I thought we probably shouldn't dive in any deeper at this stage. But if you do have questions around his apex setup, feel free to pop it in the comment section down below. Or of course around his switch to the full Triton methodology, which really set this system off on the right path. I, of course, will answer each and every question down there, but if I don't know the answer, I will reach out to Kris and find out for you. Now, it would be remiss of me not to give a massive thank you to all of the channel subscribers. We're still almost at that 30,000 mark. I'm watching the number go up each and every day, and we're just creeping little step by little step towards 30,000, which will be a huge achievement for people following this channel all across the world. Absolutely humbles me. And of course, I've got to give a massive thank you to each and every one of these names on screen here. These are my channel members who do chip in a couple of bucks each and every month to make these videos possible. Your support goes a huge way to making videos like this one happen each and every week. So thank you so much. Now, I don't have anything more to add other than I have heaps of amazing content to come over the next few weeks. So if you're not a subscriber, please do hit that button in the bottom corner there. And I look forward to seeing you in the coming weeks. Till next time, guys, stay safe, keep reefing. Cheers, bye.